Alright, it's Lost Kingdoms. We're gonna talk about Lost Kingdoms today. How does that sound? Alright, so this is my first time doing anything even remotely resembling a streaming for a game, so please bear with me. There will be hiccups. I don't have, like, perfectly attuned hardware or anything. We are working off of the Dolphin Gamecube emulation system, as well as a ROM for a game that I totally own all by myself, so I don't feel like upset about it. The plan for today is we are getting footage of this game because it doesn't exist anywhere else, so far as I know. Like, seriously, nobody plays this game. It is an underrated little masterpiece. I am currently trying to write a giant essay about it and figured, you know, what the hell? Let's just play it, record it, put it on the internet for posterity, and we can just, you know, talk about how awesome it is. But again, my hardware isn't entirely up to snuff. Like, again, you're gonna see a fairly truncated, like, screen, as you can see here. We're going to 4x3 even though we emulate that. I don't know everything that's going on here, but we're gonna do our level best. At any rate, again, I love this game. I find that it's very underappreciated, so we're going to walk through it. I'm going to talk about it as we go, I assume. This is the opening cutscene, which is obviously just like in the Final Fantasy vein of, hey, let's just show how awesome this game can be. None of this is like in-game footage, obviously. It's all super pre-rendered. But I do think it's kind of like, that's why I recorded it rather than this, you know, just shows us kind of like what we should be imagining as we go. But enough. Let's bust into this thing, shall we? I apologize in advance if my controller keeps failing as well. I've got to kind of shorten the cord. Yeah, I'm working off of an Xbox controller because I have it available and I use it for my computer. We'll use the default name, Katya, because, I don't know, I like Katya. I like role-playing as Katya for this one. Anyway, here is our opening, like, story beats Star Wars style. So yeah, we got this weird wall of fog showing up. It's, like, disappearing the countryside, and apparently it's, you know, very never-ending story, like the nothing is coming, which I kind of enjoy. Just this sort of like abstract evil hanging over it, which, you know, has some really interesting, like, mysterious consequences and sort of, you know, again, we don't know what the big bad is here and won't for quite a while. But I also do really enjoy just where we're going from here. I haven't found this controller. This is going to be a problem. I'm also kind of interested that it's like the soldier's perspective that we actually started. Like the first time we see Princess Katya, it's from his perspective. That we don't just sort of sit in her attitude this whole time. It kind of emphasizes her princessness, if that makes sense. Like, she is regal, separate, above us. Like, in a very real sense, like, we the player are also sort of, our first impression of Katya is as somebody, you know, removed, distant, as I've been emphasizing. We do get that little flashback there, which I was definitely talking over, where the king told us to, like, go get the moonstone if bad things happened. So, obviously, we would never do that. Notice, too, like, the difference between the character designs here. Like, we're going to see a lot of these sort of generic soldiers with their, you know, pretty boring dialogue beats as they go. But notice the Katya, like, she's very red and white and pops out of the environment. Like, notice, too, that she matches the environment here. That, like, the throne room is red and white, just as she is. And, you know, it sort of, like, drives home that this is very much her place. This is where she belongs. This is, you know, the level that she is most home at. But, of course, it's being threatened right now. Like, we have to leave. The black fog is at the gates. The forest of Bashir has disappeared. It laps against the very walls of the castle. Oh no! And of course, it brings with it strange creatures, as we will see in a moment. You should also notice, like, the level design here. You only have like the 4 camera positions and these sort of orthogonal angles. The camera is distant. Like, we can zoom in this close, but that's it. And we can zoom out this far, which is super distant. You'll also notice that the levels are kind of cheaply designed. Like, I'm not nice about the game. It doesn't. It's not a deal breaker to me, but you know, I kind of actually love the fact that we're like in a castle suspended in a dark void of some kind. I think it also brings home the fact that like the background isn't important for this story, that we are kind of isolated in this game in a very profound way. So you'll notice like we've got this thing about the king. He left. He's off, you know, trying to figure out what to do about this black fog thing. And apparently he's joining all 5 kingdoms together. This will be important. And then, of course, we have his retinue, all those people protecting him. We'll meet Lord Unther. They kind of get separated at one point. But we are going to sort of, like, stand in the king's shadow for a while. Like, we have to go find the king. You know, the castle is endangered. We're going to have to, like, fix that. I realize there's, like, a lot of exposition to talk about, a lot of stuff that I have to, like, drop into this early level, which honestly could take, like, 5 minutes to beat if I'm not, you know, sitting here talking about it forever. Notice, too, that everyone kind of relies on the king. Like, you, Katia, are sort of just the cheap substitute for the king. Nobody expects you to be able to take care of the situation. And yet, as we will see, like, ultimately she's going to be the one that really saves the day here. Which I think is interesting. Like, there are a lot of games where it's like the underdog player character is the one who ultimately saves the day, despite nobody's expectations. Katia definitely fits into that character. Like, a lot of the characters are going to emphasize that Katia is sort of spectacularly unsuited to being the hero of this story. And yet, despite that, she is also kind of perfectly suited to being the hero. But we'll talk about that later. We also get our first glimpse of myth, if you bother to like the lore here. There are these 5 rune stones, which are protecting us from he who would destroy you. And we and the heirs are charged with the task of guarding the rune stones. Each of the 5 kingdoms has received one of the rune stones, and they have this responsibility to guard it, protect it, as a sort of unifying force against the darkness. So we divide the land into 5 realms. We swear that we will uphold the sacred covenant. For the most part, this means not actually interacting with each other. Like, they are all very isolationist. Something that we will, like, be breaking apart with Lost Kingdoms 2 if we do that one as well. But at any rate, let's get this thing started, shall we? Here it is, the Rune Stone. We'll be seeing a lot of this. You'll notice that the game is, like, really clearly emphasizing this moment. Like, this is a big deal. But, oh no! Now there's skeletons! The black fog has spat out monsters, as we expected. And Katia is kind of, like, beside herself. What do I do? This is not my game. But wait! Unknown voice. The power of the cards flows in your blood. Unleash their power! Well, that's convenient. You know, card on this guy. And we summon the Birdman. Oh! Take that, skeleton. Alright, all of the combat in this game takes place in these instances. Like, you get these sorts of, like, separations from the actual business of the gameplay. We have our usual tutorial, and you notice that, like, we have the 4 cards over at the right-hand side of the screen. And the deck, like, the next card listed on the left. Each of the cards is mapped to one of the 4 main buttons for the Gamecube controller, the X, Y. I kind of love this control scheme. It's so straightforward. Like, it's ingeniously straightforward. Insofar as your buttons will always play cards. That's what they do. and like as a result, whatever that button does will change depending on what card is there. Now, the three kinds of cards that we're going to be playing with, and you can see, are these weapon cards, like right now, the two Wizard Men, Y and A, as well as the Dark Rainbow Mats, are all weapons. The weapons are all just literally like, look, I just slashed. Here's the Raven, like, that's all it is. You'll also notice that I summoned that Man Trap there, like, as an independent monster. Unlike the weapons and the summons, which, immediately just drop out of the sky and do their thing, independent monsters like the Man Trap will literally just, like, wander around the field and do their own thing, engage with the monsters, like, they have their own AI, which is also fairly unique, like, summoning monsters to fight for by proxy. This is just one of the many things that this game does that many other games are brave enough to try. Anywho, we walk out of the battle. The little instance is over, so we're back to the regular map, and lo, it's mysterious old woman, and she's apparently anticipating all of this. But I love the dialogue here. You're not exactly the most fearsome warrior in the kingdom. I don't suppose you have a burly brother stashed away somewhere. Again, emphasizing how Katia is kind of not the person that anyone would expect to be the hero in this situation. Katia is seemingly distinctly unsuited to the business of being the hero of this story. And notice too the comparison, so be it even the ugliest oyster may contain a beautiful pearl, although you look more like a pearl with an oyster. There's a lot to be said about like the sort of feminist angle or the feminist lens to understanding this game. On the one hand, Katia is kind of typically effeminate, and that kind of rankles a lot of feminists who want to sort of like see the womanly power as being itself powerful and awesome. But I don't think the Katia violates that. Like, notice too, the Katia, she's not designed to be just pure sex appeal like Lara Croft, or she's not, her femininity isn't hidden like with Samus, and she's not like super athletic or burly like Chun-Li or something. Like, she's just a girl. She's just a princess. Like, she's what every girl kind of wants to be when they're young and, is obsessed with like pink and dresses and stuff. Not every girl, but it's very much in line with society's assumption of what a girl should be. And yet, Katia totally makes that work for her. Like, it's not, she doesn't have to overcome her femininity. There's no scene of her, like, cutting off her hair to prove that she's, more than she was. This is, she is suited for this task as a princess with her training, despite the fact that she's not physically strong or masculine in some way. Being the Pearl can also be awesome, in short. And then, of course, our old woman tells us, well, she is the person who teaches us how to use the cards, and she's going to be our tutor for the next few levels. Gerd is her name, and we will be encountering her fairly often. One of the other things about the feminism in this, like, we passed the Bechdel test 5 minutes into the game. Like, did you notice that? We passed the Bechdel test just now. Like, Katia and Gerd and Helena are the three major characters we're going to see the most of over the course of this game. This is an all-female affair. And I honestly find it kind of weird that, like, this game really resonated with me when I was, a teenage boy, where, like, boys are especially, like, concerned about their own masculinity. It's a testament to how good the actual mechanics are that, like, even 14-year-old me was like, I have to play this game. I have to get through it, and it's made an impression on me in part because it was, very different from a lot of the games that I had played to this point. You'll also notice at the end of each level we get these bonuses. I got 5 stars because I didn't waste any cards beating, like, the one skeleton. I will not always be this good. The star rating is usually dependent on how much damage you took, how many cards you played, and how many monsters you defeated, which, as long as the balance is I do well. And it looks like I got the rare one this time. You'll notice the 6 cards are 3 birdmen, 2 fairies, and the 1 skeleton. There's usually 1 really rare card hidden amongst the dross in these level rewards. So we're already off to a good start. Didn't get a fairy though, which is a bit of a bummer, but we already have a couple fairies in the deck. So 2 more birdmen and a skeleton. On to the world map. So Princess Katia of Alondra has defeated the monsters. Her victory provides little relief, though. More areas fall victim to the Black Fog each day. We still don't know why or where it came from. So it's time to fight. Like, we trust the defense of the castle to the knights, which we know that they're not going to do it. Like, it's, yeah, we're abandoning it. That's kind of what it comes down to. Time to go save the world with Gerd, fight the Black Fog, figure out what's going on, all of that stuff. Now notice too that the Alondra Castle is now like grayed out. We can't go back. This is kind of a tricky design decision. It's something that kind of frustrated and scared the crap out of me when I played this the first time. Like, there's no way to go back to old levels. This will hold true for every level we play. And like, as much as it's a kind of crazy design decision, like, gamers being a fairly neurotic bunch, they always want to, like, go back and check and make sure that they haven't missed anything. It also is great for pacing, though, because it means you're always on to the next challenge. Like, you're never allowed to grind, and the game doesn't need you to grind. Like, unlike many JRPGs, grinding is not a part of the formula here. Now, real quick, we're gonna modify the deck a little bit because we got all those fancy new cards, including the skeleton. So we're gonna drop them in the deck. We'll just rename it since it's weird calling it deck. Typically, when I play this game, and I have played it many times, I call the first deck my training deck because I'm going to use it to like train cards for reasons that will become obvious in the fairly near future. I will also usually have a strength deck and one deck specifically designed with each element in mind, but that will be for another recording another day. For now, to the plains of Roal. Also, it's kind of fun to like bounce the loading thing around. Kind of just gives you a little bit of control. I don't know why more people don't do that. Like, why loading the screens always have to be so stagnant. Alright, so, Katia, let's do this. This is our tutorial level. Like, the last level was more of our prologue story level. Now it's time to, like, actually get the mechanics down. So, command monsters through the cards of power. That power is the only chance we have of defeating the evil roost upon the world. Notice that this is not, like, a physical thing. Like, she's not swinging a sword around, she's not beating people up, she's not, you know, violent in the sense of, like, prowess. She harnesses the violence of others to do things. She does get told you must stand up and fight, but fighting for Katia is running around making monsters do her bidding, which I find interesting. Like, command is sort of the key relationship you have to violence, both as an avatar and as, you know, the player controlling the avatar. But it also means that the violence is kind of distant. It's frequently out of your hands, especially with those independent monsters who just kind of wander around doing their own thing. This is not like a God of War where there's like this visceral pleasure in like beating the shit out of something. This is like remarkably reserved, staid. There's this distance that I'm trying to write about in the essay between you doing an action as the player and stuff happening on screen with the monsters and characters. So we're going to learn how to use these cards, and there's a bunch of goblins here, so we're just going to beat the crap out of a bunch of goblins. And I like how she's just like, yeah, I'm not going to teach you with a tutorial, you're just going to get goblins thrown at you, good luck. You will find chests like this dotted around the landscape. Like, this is, you know, very RPG-ish, but a lot of cards are going to be found here. So we get our Hobgoblin. I'm pretty sure we've already got a couple of Hobgoblins in the deck, but we'll get the opportunity to add up before the level is over. Yep, goblins. Hooray for goblins. Alright, power of the cards defeat monsters. I'm going to definitely screw that now that my buttons are incorrectly mapped. This is going to be bad. Alright, so let's talk about the 3 kinds of cards. As we said, there are these independent monsters. So here's our skeleton, which we just got. We will give him his chance Notice too that every time he hits the goblin, he drops these stones, the magic stones. Up at the top left, you'll see that I've got like 10 magic stone count. That's all I get. It's a pretty limited amount. You'll notice that a lot of my cards cost like 3 or even 5. I've got to keep refilling my magic stones in order to keep participating in the battle. So that means getting close to the enemies as they get hit. We also talked about the weapons. Like I said, they're just sort of slash. They're very quick. You can use them multiple times in most cases. But the other one that we didn't talk about is the summon. The summon, you get this little like cutscene thing, and then the summon creature does the thing, which you've got to like make out in space. Sometimes there's a lag on those, which makes the summons kind of difficult to use in most cases, but they're also typically you'll also notice the experience points. Like, I'm pretty sure the way that the stones work is that any additional stones you collect above your 10 count towards all of your cards, but you'll notice that each card that got the kill gets more experience as a consequence. That's also something we'll be using quite a bit in order to like get powerful cards and level up the ones that we want most frequently. Anyway, now we're out of the instanced combat, no more mysterious blue void. Back to running around in the plains of Roal. So, watch out for Mandragora. And now we get our little stones primer. Figures that, like, I'm telling you how this game works before Nerd does, because I've played this so many freaking times. Alright, so, notice we got our Mandragora this time. And the Mandragora does not walk around. You can see the Man-Trap is trying to get at me. It's coming for me. But the Mandragora stays perfectly still. So let's take out this Man-Trap first. Fun fact, the button commands for the Xbox controller do not line up. They say it on the Xbox, but that's clearly not how I'm using it. I'm also going to like discard a few cards just so we can see some other options here. This is always an option in-game, but it's a dangerous one because the deck does not refresh. You discard too many cards and you lose the ability to play cards, which is a problem. But again, notice that the Mandragora does not do anything. It is a trap card. Like there were several of them throughout the game. I'll use them extensively in other levels. They just sit, wait for something to get close, and then pop up and do something bad. Get nice. So, Man-Trap gets some experience, Dark Raven gets some experience. Not bad for a beginner. On we go. Alright, before we move on with like the critical path, we're gonna go grab this chest, because more cards. We want as many cards as we can get. Even if they are stupid hobgoblins. We've got a couple dudes here. Now notice, like, most of the people we're going to run into in this game, Gerd and Katia being the obvious exceptions, there's going to be a lot of soldiers just sort of hanging around being wounded. That very much is going to drive home this isolation in this game. Like, this is from Software, the guys who gave us Dark Souls and Demon Souls and, you know, Bloodborne and all those. They do loneliness well, and one of the ways they communicate with this game is by showing that, like, literally everybody else in the game is just unsuited to what Katia sort of does naturally. We are very much the only person powerful enough to save the day, and this is very much emphasized by how beaten up most of the warriors and soldiers actually are. You know, as much as we said, dang, why don't you have some burly brother somewhere who can do this job instead? It looks to me like most of the burly brothers aren't actually having that much luck in this world at this time. You'll also notice here we get this little tutorial about elements. Again, look at the top left and you'll see that there are 4 little icons around the magic stone wheel. The top left one, the brown one, is earth, which beats water, which beats fire, which beats wood, which beats earth. Very, you know, Pokemon rock, paper, scissors-ish. You'll also notice that I've already been kind of employing that. Like, you'll notice that I use the Dark Raven to take out the Mandragora because the Dark Raven does fire to the Mandragora's wood. So therefore it does double damage. This is especially helpful and will be kind of important to succeeding in the game. But, as the tutorial is telling us, there's also a neutral element, which, like, beats everything. Many of the neutral cards not just, like, aren't affected by attributes, but they kind of beat all attributes in many cases. Neutral cards are pretty rare and usually very powerful. And it'll be a little while before we see any of those. So, attributes and types. We've already talked about types. We're just going to zip right through here. Alright, and then here's one of our first weird puzzle things. So, we got our attribute stuff, 5 attributes, etc., etc. We just talked about this on the stone. It is a little redundant, I'm not going to deny that, but gotta get this stuff while we can. So here we got this, like, covered wagon thing. You'll also notice that you can see a card under the covered wagon. Many of, like, because the combat instances are separate from the world map, you can't use cards when you're on the map proper. You can only use them when you are in combat. So notice that, like, when the Hobgoblin farted at the like, covered wagon, he actually did damage to it. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to explicitly use a card to damage both Monster and Wagon, thus breaking it open and freeing up the card underneath. This is something, again, like, this is puzzle solving in this game, I'm sure. Like, it's not terribly but, you know, that's being able to sort of, like, make sure that a combat instance happens in certain areas when you have these cards. Alright, I have a kind of poison which is obnoxious. If there is, like, a particularly unfair mechanic here, it's that Katia takes damage and is stunned for quite a while, and some inconvenient situations may arise from him, like too regularly hit or damage back out. But at any rate, it only took a little bit of damage, 21, no big deal. It might hurt my score, but not, like, irrevocably, I hope. In the meantime, we do get our card. It's a mummy. Snazzy. Considerably more powerful than most of the stuff in this level, certainly better than those silly hobgoblins. Now, deck point time! So, we're occasionally going to run into these deck points. They're little blue things. They're good because they are going to heal me up, which is nice, and allow me to add any new cards that I found along the way to my deck, which will help me, you know, not run out of cards. Very useful. Very important. Alright, she's telling us how to throw away cards, how to discard things. We get another little hobgoblin the go-go here. So let's just drop a couple of these guys. Hobgoblin fight! Hooray! There's my mummy in your face. Oh, God. Stones. Experience. Alright, Gert is impressed. Goblin fort nearby. Alright, once again we're gonna, like, troll around, make sure we get the chests first. Because I want all the cards. Getting a Dark Raven, very helpful. Alright, Gert is leaving us. Time to go take on the Goblin boss. All on our own. We have learned all there is to learn, sort of. Not really, but most of the other stuff is terribly important. Hooray! Bonus fight, because, you know, chest. Alright, we got another Mandragora too, just to, like, complicate things. I gotta have something back here. There we go. Who's the dragon? There we go. Dragon Lord is such a good card. It's definitely the most powerful of the deck. As a result, I think they're disabled for bosses and stuff. But getting experience with a Mandragora is also good. And the boss here is, you know, Earth, so not going to be especially helpful with using a water card. But that's spoilers. Anyway, here's our big boss fight. I like how the goblins have, like, lookouts and stuff. Like, everything about this game portrays them as being idiots and even sort of comical. Like, you know, the fact that they have a fart attack. Definitely low-level monsters as these things go. But for some reason they're apparently organized out in lookouts in their fortress. There's not a whole lot of consistency to the monster design. However, you'll notice that, like, all the boxes here are actually traps. This is not meant to be terribly difficult. Exploded boxes can also backfire. Yeah, the sand golem is a bit of a tough. I'm just going to kill all these top goblins first, and then unleash the army of man-traps. Since man-traps are, as we've discussed, wood and therefore in your face! In your face! What are you going to do? What are you going to do? That's right. Oh, people say they don't like to use monsters. Right situation. Right situation. Look at all that experience for me. Oh, that would be so good. Level cleared. Did I get the 5-star rating? Yeah! What the? Alright. I don't know why, but I always pick the 2 on the ends, and then 1 of the 2 in the middle. For some reason, I think that's where, like, most commonly the really good card shows up. See? Look at that. Got the same goal. Called it. Also got another Mandragora. Haha! Oh, I'm such a dork. Like, seriously, I am, like, the only person in the world who loves this game as much as I do. Whatever. All the rest of you are wrong. I'm just gonna tell you that, man. You're wrong. The fact that you haven't played this game and fallen in love with it is just, you know, that reflects poorly on your character. Woo! Oh, right! Finally, the apothecaries! We have Gerd here explaining how awesome we are. We got the card handling down. Alright, we gotta be a runestone bearer to win things. Notice, too, that she also, like, expresses some doubts about us. You know, I wish it was your father I was telling this to. Like, that's kind of a bummer. But she's willing to give us the benefit of the doubt. I'll wager there's more to you than just pretty dresses and fancy jewelry. Isn't that, like, neat? I mean, I don't know. I'm obviously not a woman and therefore can't speak to the female experience. But I think it's really cool that it's okay to be a girly girl in this game. Like, it's okay to like pretty dresses and fancy jewelry. That's not an indication of being a bad person or a weak person. If anything, it's just part of who Katya is. Like, notice even that the runestone is a jewel. Like, it's a cool thing that she wears on her person, and it gives her power. In much the same way that, like, you imagine, you know, wearing a fancy necklace or something sort of draws attention to a person, brings out their natural beauty, the way that you, like, hear it described in novels and stuff. This is really kind of open to an attitude towards femininity that you don't see at all in any video games, like, ever. Like, think of any other video game with a, you know, female protagonist who is in fact a girly girl and that isn't held against them. Like, it just doesn't happen. Like, I think maybe of the Princess Peach levels in like the Paper Mario games, but as quickly as the second Paper Mario game, it got super creepy and sexual. Like, it's not okay. But here, you know, Katya really is in control of her situation, despite being girly, and that's neat. like that. Like, maybe because I'm a terrible person, but, you know, here we are. At any rate, father does not have a runestone, and that means that your father is kind of screwed. You have to go save him. You have to catch him. And we're going to start Blessoon, which is one of my favorite levels, by the way. But Gerda's going to hang out here, doing her thing. Which is cool, because we need her services. This is very much like the shop, and basically a really complicated menu. But whatever. We're also going to have occasional missions, which is why I'm going to always check in and like talk to Gerd extra times. But notice the two things that we're primarily going to do here are transforming and copying cards. All that experience that we've been getting gets assigned to the cards individually. So like my skeleton has 63 experience, because remember that time we beat up the Hobgoblin, and my Dragon Knight has 297, because remember that time we beat up the Mandragora. Like, this is how the experience gets assigned, and it's going to be the experience that allows us to transform. So notice, like, the required experience down at the bottom right, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, which, like, my usual strategy in this situation is I'm just going to be playing with as many cards as possible to try and get as much experience for them as possible, and to unlock all of these transforming options, because there's a lot of cool stuff there. And in this game, at least, all of the cards transform. Like, there is a transformation option for every single card in the game. This is not true in Lost Kingdoms 2. We also have numerous cards that we can buy to sort of build our collection, but we only have 50 gold to start with, so we might want to sell a few cards if we have some extras lying around. Like, we have 4 man traps, I can afford to have only 3. So now we got 70, and let's pick us up a red lizard. Wow, that really shot the money. I was kind of hoping to get a flying red, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll get them next time. We can also copy cards. Again, they're all grayed out because we don't have nearly enough experience for any copies at this point. Whatever, we'll get there. Alright, so let's bail on to the next level. Do some little deck editing, add the new cards, keep on moving. So, the maximum size of the deck is 30. At this point, we have fewer than 30 cards, so just everything will go into it. But starting with the next level, I imagine we will need it more. We're going to save while we're here, because, you know, why not? 20 minutes in. Excellent. Right on schedule. On to Blessoon. Now, notice the level also includes, like, the element description of the monsters that we're going to find in this level, so you can, like, prepare beforehand. But, of course, I'm not going to pay any attention to that because I am busy trading up all my cards. So I said Blessoon is one of my favorite levels, and it's pretty obvious why, like, right from the get-go. Blessoon is all atmosphere. Like, it is very obviously a world destroyed by the Black Fog. You can see all of these little, like, ruins of former houses. And not even, like, nice houses. This is not, like, ruins of a mansion. This is ruins of, like, little peasant hovels and stuff. This place was just hard. Notice, too, that we've already busted through the barrels, like I said. Also, like, the main criticism we're going to hear from, like, the handful of people in this game is that it's polished. Situations like this is obvious. The AI for the independent monsters is honestly really good for 2002, especially because there's so many different monsters, all of which have fairly different moving styles and behaviors. But it does mean that it's frequently janky. It's never been a deal breaker for me because there's just so much going on, and it's kind of hard for me to imagine any developer being able to polish 100 different cards worth of monster animations and stuff. But this was kind of the breaking point for a lot of people. This was a turnoff for a lot of players, which is part of why this game never got as highly regarded as I did. lots of points for Lizard Man. Alright, you'll also notice I ran into a blue fairy earlier. You'll see them pop up throughout the level, and you will see them chase them fairly frequently. Blue fairies are just randomly appearing dudes who give you health, or a card, like a card that you've already used that will refresh, or they will give you magic stones, or they will occasionally get you into a fight, which means that there's always a risk when you go blue fairy chasing. But yeah, I'll spend a lot of time chasing after them, especially if they are nearby, especially if I have like health or cards or something. But in the meantime, more stuff. More soldiers standing around looking pretty beat up. As I said, this is one of my favorite levels because it's so lonely. Like, you've got these handful of soldiers who are like holding down the fort over here, giving you hints about how you should definitely mess with the cap stands, and telling you that like the king keeps on moving, trying to go burial grounds, which is short way. But again, notice just like how very sad and gloomy this place is. Very Dark Souls in its empty, gloomy environments where the only sound we're hearing for the most part is the sort of quiet ambient music and our footsteps. This is pretty typical of the game. We're going to spend a lot of time in sort of sad-looking environments. So that's another thing that I like about it, honestly. Like, it makes me feel so far as without me, this place is really sweet. Alright, so I just did something tricky because I wanted to program. Any of the cards in my hand can be alternatively used as a capture card. This is very different from Lost Kingdoms 2, which totally breaks this mechanic much to the detriment of the game, I think. But like, instead of casting a card as you would usually do it, you can use the card as a capture when the monster's giving no health, and then you can get that card. So you can see, like, bam, got a Playground, which is good, because Playgrounds are really good. Health, and it's not like I've got other things to do with the Hobgoblin. But that's also one of the neat things, is it wastes the card, but it also gets experience for the capture, so a card that otherwise doesn't do damage or can't get experience very quickly, you can boost it pretty quickly by doing a capture. Not to mention getting more cards, which is always good. Excuse me. Alright, so, more wounded soldiers. Bummer. More emphasis on that little world map, which is really very handy regularly. Another deck point, always helpful. Let's drop some of these new cards in there, including a new Plaguerat, which Plaguerat is different. It does not do attacking like the other independent monsters we have. Instead, it prolongs and does extra damage for poison. There are going to be a lot of monsters that have this sort of passive effect, and most of them are obnoxious to raise, so all the more reason this is oh look, a card! It's like I knew that was there. That Dark Raven. Unfortunate. A Lycanthrope, very helpful. Yeah, the Lizardmen, if it isn't obvious, are really versatile. Like, they're fast, they do a decent amount of damage, their attack range and speed is really convenient. Again, no surprise that they give you Lizardmen spades. In general, you'll find that, like, attack for some cards over others. Many have argued that the cards are unbalanced. I'm not sure if that's the case. It seems to me to be pretty deliberate on the card developers to have some cards that are really up the game versus some that are much more defensive, but much more powerful than available. So again, like, when people say the cards are unbalanced, I suspect that they're talking about, like, I should be able to use the Lizardman all the time, which is not the case. there are some cards that are just legitimately broken. Like, people frequently talk about how awesome the Banshee card is. And it is. Like, it's this incredibly versatile weapon card that's super cheap, does tons of damage, and does it at this ridiculously good range. Not denying that one. But I also don't have a problem with it. Like, it still fits in the greater, like, set of cards. And I still find myself using a whole wide variety of cards by the end of the game. Like, yes, you can totally just maul through this game with a bunch of Banshees if you want to do it that way. But it is so much more fun to, like, just explore all of the other cards and all of the other powers that they offer, many of which are really useful in certain situations. PS found this to be clean once a month, left once, right 3 times. For some reason, I always forget that. Like every time I'm trying to get it beforehand, but screw that. That's another little secret that we will be taking advantage of momentarily. Thanks, skeleton. Pow. And the great thing about skeletons is that they are just really good. Like, their AI is really solid. They are tough. They like have more health than most monsters that cost. They do a fair amount of damage. As far as independent creatures go, like, you're going to see me use the skeletons quite a lot. There are several different varieties. All right, left. Still saves the progress. Give it a moment. That's fine. Left once. Right. 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 You really think so, buddy? Back to the fountain, and would you look at that? With the water came a card. Darn it! Alright, here we go. Maelstrom. Maelstrom is garbage. I just like this is bad. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Its range is awful. It triggers before anyone's even close enough to get damaged by it. It's just the worst. But I'm gonna train it because it actually transforms into some pretty cool stuff. So there we are. I think it's better in this game than Lost Kingdoms 2. Lost Kingdoms 2 since I've played that one recently. Darn it. Not fast enough to catch failures. I think we've gotten all the chests and stuff in this area, so let's hit that final capstan. And the door opens. Yeah, in this game, like, in Lost Kingdoms 2, you are faster than the fairies and can catch them much more easily. In Lost Kingdoms 1, you are very much the exact same speed as the fairies. You can really only catch them if you want to box them or something. Come on. Notice, too, that I'm favoring the weapons against the ravens. Like, the skeletons are great against plague rats because plague rats are fairly slow, but they will literally just chase after ravens uselessly. Try and, like, solve that one independently, like, with independent monsters. Again, you gotta sort of adapt. Like, independent monsters are great in certain situations and not in others, but anyway, hey look, red fairies! And, of course, the mystery. This is like the one male character, which I find kind of funny. Like, Alexander is, obviously a scholar who studies fairies, and, it's interesting that he's like the partner to Katya, like the one character who sort of build a relationship with over the course of the game who isn't another woman. But notice too that there's like zero hint of romance here. Like, nothing. No sexual tension, no nothing. Alexander's literally just interested in the fairies and invites you to bring them along with you. So we will be collecting the red fairies as well as we go through. Which is interesting because they like had a little bit of flavor text and stuff. And also, Alexander will give us cards for having fairies, which is nice because he has some of the best ones. But yeah, no subtext here, no romance. Katya is a strong, independent woman. She don't need no man. Alexander is just here to help out, which again, like, it's a cool choice, cool decision by the developers. All right, we're gonna wander down this apparent dead end. Oh, would you look at that? All these barrels are divided. If only there was something I could do to get them out of the way. Oh, that's convenient. Thank you, Playrat. More independent monsters. Alright, stones. Skeletons, try to get experience. Oh man, skeletons are have so much experience. I just love going through all of the playgrounds and feeding those skeletons. Fine with me, we'll upgrade those skeletons real fast. Lycanthrope? What is this madness? Great. Alright, let's throw out some tricky nonsense. The Sand Golem. The cool thing about Sand Golem is that he doesn't attack, but he's going to draw the fire. So we can actually It's fine, it's fine. Alright. It's quite the lizard man drop. 3 for 1. It's good because the lizard man also has a whole bunch of upgrades and stuff that are very cool. Red fairies. Alright, I think we can get this guy. Oh, we'll just do this area instead. Oh, would you look at that? Notice, like, again, the sadness here. We don't know where the humans went. They're all gone. Like, there's something really bleak about this. You know, at the very least, everyone who used to live in the city is gone, like a refugee, has been, you know, forced out of their homes by the Black Fog. At the worst, it's possible that they're all dead. Like, the game is really subtle about this. It doesn't, you know, show us corpses or anything, though we'll see our fair share of them. But it's definitely heavily implied that, like, the destructive power of the Black Fog is, like, palpable here. You see all of the lives that have been lost or like, radically affected by this change. Which is pretty hardcore for, you know, like, T-rated GameCube JRPG that otherwise seems really kind of lighthearted. Catchy, girly girl attitude. It seems to have this, you know, childlike quality to it. But the subject matter here is grim. You know, this is not a happy world. This is a very dark, unpleasant one. Brought about by the real, serious danger presented by the various forces at work. Like, even your average Final Fantasy game is really reluctant to get into this. It's pretty rare to see actual station more this up close and close. Yeah, here at Los Angeles, fucking sad. Eat it, play that. Alright, let's do this thing. I think I've got all the red fairies that are already flagged, all the cards that are lying around. Let's pack our deck with a few of our most recent acquisitions. And get this sucker on the road. It's nice to have more cards than space for cards. Fire Golem. Oh man, this guy is a pain. Right, one of the other cool things about this game is that, like Dark Souls, there's a certain element of strategy to attacking and defending. Mainly, if you were in the middle of casting a card, you're actually immune to damage. So you can use it strategically like that to avoid hit by other monsters' attacks. Of course, Fire Golem just has that Alright, we got our Sea Monk now. Sea Monk is great because he restores cards already used. Of course, he's very expensive, which means that go to Mr. Secretary. Experience. Woo! And that'll do. Did I get the 5 stars? Probably not. I took a lot of hits on that one. Oh, but you're forgiving. Thank you, game. Your generosity is helpful. Yeah, I always miss the Fire Golem. I don't know why. I don't think that the actual positions of the cards are scripted from level to level. I think they're random, but for some reason I always miss the Fire Golem. But that's okay. We'll pick it up at some point down the road. Alright, let's take care of some business. Give some red fairies to Alexander. Give some... Take care of our cards with Gerd. Oh, yeah? Save, all that good stuff. 5 fairies. It always gives you 1 after the first drop. So we get our fire gargoyle. Excellent. We'll take care of that after we go to the apothecary. Since I am hoping to be able to transform and possibly copy some cards this time around. Also, we got an interesting story, which means side quests. The Dalnock Valley has been invaded by bees! Darn those bees! That's that's good. Alright. No transforming. Oh, fuck. We have at least one. Oh, there's skeletons. 3,000. 3,000's a lot. Only 1,000 for Lizardman, though. We'll get that in a jiffy. We did get a bunch of extra cards we can afford to sell at this point, too. 5 Lizardmen, put up that down to 3. Our Hobgoblin, which Hobgoblin sucks, so we'll keep them around. A couple extra lycanthropes. Ravens. Alright, that should do. We've got 3 playgrounds. How do we get 3 playgrounds out of that? Anyway, let's get ourselves a giant crab and a flying ray. We'll save up for other stuff down the road because we have all of these cards. make copies? Alright, we can copy Lizard Man, we can copy Mantrap, but we're doing that at this point. Gotta wait for those transform options to become available. Alright, now we gotta do some actual, like, deck editing. Bummer. Because now we've got more cards than fit in the deck. Alright, my usual rule of thumb, especially for the training deck, is to basically try and go for one of each card, no duplicates. I'm not sure if we have 30 cards at this point, but we will try and bear that out as much as possible. So, okay, with 2 of all my duplicates and 3 Dark Ravens, we have a pretty solid selection. If we drop 1 Dark Raven and add our second Lycanthrope, then I believe we've got a perfect 30. Yeah. That'll do nicely. Save. 40 minutes. Alright, let's do the Delnock Valley and then we can call it our first, like, roughly hour-long adventure into Lost Kingdoms. Alright, so when I stress that Blossom is really, like, dark and grim and very much has this kind of oppressive, lonely atmosphere, you'll notice that, like, the levels kind of vary on this, but even the ones that seem to be fairly upbeat and normal, like the valley, you know, it's much nicer, not really houses lying around, no evidence of destruction. It's also hostile, you'll notice. Like, the orc cuts the bridge, you can't make it across the bridge from the valley. It's covered in this mist, which kind of obscures our vision. It's still only populated by monsters, fairies, and us. So again, like, that loneliness is really, really evident even here. It does not ever go away. Orcs are fire guys. They will be very susceptible to Dragon Knight. Notice too that, like, the AI is having some troubles here. They're trying to hit each other and skeleton fire without a head. The evasiveness is just this is how a lot of independent fights are really hard, especially if they're strong style. So, yeah, as much as independent monsters in the right situation are great, most of the time you need to kind of back them up. But here's kind of the whole purpose of our quest. We've got these bees, the beehives that just break out of the trees and terrible people. And we've got these awful monsters who like, notice the movement pattern. Like, it's very bug-like, which, you know, fits the character, but it's so hard to hit them because they're always like zigzag, unpredictable pattern. This is a rough level, honestly. Not that it matters, because Dark Raven has a lot of reach, and it does bonus damage with fire versus wind, so not the end of the world. Alright, on to the next one. There are tons of these beehives all over the levels, so a lot of bees. That's not even the only thing. Lycanthrope, go! Dumb friggin' luck. Just sat there trying to attack me. The fool! Alright. Got a card. How convenient. And more bees. So many bees. We got our Fire Golem, which is awesome, but the Fire Golem actually, the Fire Gargoyle doesn't actually do that much damage. He's good, but not for this particular purpose. But yeah, Red Lizard instead. More fire damage, a little more versatile against these environments. Good times. Notice too, the Lizard, like the Lizard Man, has the same kind of arc of attack and stuff. Like there's a kinship to those cards. Not that we know this at this point, but Lizard Man actually transforms into Red Lizard, among other like Lizard monsters, all of which have a fairly similar like range and attack pattern, which I find kind of neat. Like it's not just a reskin, because the animations are remarkably different. Red Lizard has two swords versus Lizard Man's one. The effects of all of these attacks are different, but it's interesting to see that kinship there. You'll see a kinship between a lot of cards. You'll also notice my complete lack of reliance on skeletons against these. Not just because it's like a Titan smash, but also because just the independent monsters don't do well against things like this. I will summon a Hobgoblin just because you can see just how this and it's just really too fast. Again, we get in the right spot. Hobgoblin to the now. Because of that, like, strategically not stunning so the Hobgoblin combination. Again, there's a surprising amount of strategic depth here. Like, even though there are 100 cards, and therefore you think, wow, there's got to be a lot of different options, a lot of variables. Quite a bit of depth all the same. Alright, so one of the things I emphasize in my essay is that there's very little time in this game. But that's, you know, there's these great moments like this where you're climbing up these freaking huge ladders and it just sort of pieces it nicely. But we get this moment where you get to appreciate the scope of the world around Katia and just, you know, like, how alone she actually is, just positioned on this huge ladder, like, only working effort into the sweat of her brow, the endurance, patience, and perseverance. Again, like the whole point of this level is the more to destroy the bridge, we have to find an alternate route. So here we are climbing through the river, like climbing up and down ladders, trying to find this alternate route because the world is just hostile and frustrating to us. Our efforts to continue always like stall. Oh, we have another mummy. I don't know why, but like the mummies are frequently used as rewards in this game. Like they're fairly valuable, and you can sell them for a decent price. But you will see like mummies are often the card that just gets like hidden somewhere as a treasure if you pick up and discover it. Venus spider. That's okay. Use my skeleton. Spider. Focus on head, let the skeleton go off the bridge. Carbuncle, go! Venus spider, Carbuncle. Let this work. Bad day. Fairy! So Fairy is your starting healing card. Heals half of your life, so back up to helpful, but I'm so good. I will definitely and now we're back to ladders. Successfully got our mummy card back there. Here we have another like weird encounter with a dude. What would he done last? Like doing without here? Again, emphasizing sort of Katu's strangeness in this world. But also we get this great little exposition with the like eggs hanging around and there are cockatrices in the eggs. And the cockatrices are hidden in the cave. We can totally fight the cockatrices. Like it's the bad. of course, I need to don't break the eggs. The cockatrice is going to come and get you. Oh, of course, we're going to break the eggs. You definitely want a cockatrice card. Why wouldn't we? It's a great card in this game. They nerfed the crap out of it last games too for some reason. Here we are in another one of these giant ladders. And I don't know why I like this. Like, I know that, like, by normal video game logic, this is just tedious nonsense, just padding out the game, but it really does add something rather than, like, being suspended up here all around the mountain, like, above this giant foggy river. You know, for 2002, like, graphics that aren't really up to speed with a lot of the other games being released at this point, it does still manage to pull off some impressive vistas. Notice the hint there that she's like, she would go hide in the tree stump, sort of suggesting that you should maybe look for tree stumps because there might be other rough areas hiding out there. More bees! Bees. Number 2, unloving. Oh wow, he's trying to Work is tough. He is very short range. Come on, man trap. Oh no, I've got some AI problems. Work away! Yeah, I don't know why. Like, the orc monsters obviously have like this little sword that they use to attack. The monsters that we don't attack with that as a weapon card. Again, some of the monsters are fairly silly at the very beginning of the game, which kind of makes sense. You know, the game gets darker as you go, and the monsters get more threatening and intimidating as well. The hobgoblins are very much here to sort of be weak enemies, not that threatening, not, you know, scare the player off with the first couple of levels. More cards, man trap, those. Orc. Alright, you'll notice I skipped one of the bee hives earlier. That was very intentional. The level ends with and we want to fight the cockatrice. So, Johnny, beating up my man trap and dodging my orc. Face. Right. Another beehive all the way down here, apparently. Let's get this one out as well. Yep, swing and miss. Let's go. Oh, the AI is straight. Let's try to figure out how to save ball. So, rat. Oh wow. Good enough. Egg. What could possibly go wrong? Low on health too. Another fairy I should play. And we got a little backtrack. Ooh, monster encounter. That was rude. This is a nice opportunity. 3 health. Probably capture it. Fire gargoyle for the win. This is doesn't actually do damage. Gotta get its experience some other way. There is our remaining beehive. Up the mountain. So I see what they're doing here with like the, you're slowed down as you're walking up the mountain. It doesn't really work all that well though. Like the slope is, fairly steep, so you can understand like why she's struggling. But notice too that like her feet are just not tuned what feet do in this situation. Like there's no obvious traction to the ground. And Kachi is a little floaty anyway in her usual like run animation. Which again, I'm not terribly upset with. It's not a deal breaker. It adds to that sort of fairy tale quality surrounding this game, the sort of distance between the characters. And honestly, it works way better on the downhill, like how there's a noticeable speed increase. Yeah, sometimes the animation is just total quiet work here. Again, like lack of polish. But anyway, here are some cockatrices. Dang, these guys are awesome in this one. Probably be pushing and using this fight. We gotta get this thing. Let's get the Venus spider out. Eat webs. I missed like a shot. Man trap. Like him through. Since this guy also, you'll notice all those like white stony trees are gone now that you've beaten the cockatrices. So we can get all the chests that we're hiding behind them. Also, I'm very glad there were no stone trees on the other side of the chasm, so we don't have to go up and down the ladder anymore. Really small favors. Venus spider. Fight. Face. Flying ray. Water hopper. Birdman. Oh, friggin' maelstrom. Yes. Bonus main trap. Get some experience for my maelstrom while I'm Alright, it's the cockatrice. Whoa! Moving on. Gotta fight the last bee and call it. We'll be done for today. More health, very healthy. Okay, last fight. Really for doing exactly. Oh, come on, come back! Commander Grower wants to say hello. Blasted AI. Oh! One-shot KO! Commander Grower 4. Take that. Alright, did we get the 5 stars? Nope. Got close though. Not too bad. Didn't get the B. That's a bummer. Oh well. Alright, let's clear things up a bit. I don't think we're up to 10 fairies, but we'll check all the same. Pretty close.
よく来たね。
9. Yep, very close indeed. And over to the apothecary. I know how to speak. Finally, some transform options. Transform Wizardman into a scythe beast. Hold out for big ones. Transform Mantrap into Caterpoker. Hold out for big ones. Got Sea Monk. We've already got a Sea Monk. I can't throw up into Birdman. Already got Birdman. Dark Raven and Birdman. Well, that's all helpful. But we are well on our way now. So that's good. No new cards to buy. We'll have ones very soon. And would you look at that, it's another side quest to the Gromtol Desert. Great treasure buried in the desert, but sandworms are attacking people. Notice too how it's framed here, like, let's go back there. Of course, the only people who travel to the Gromtol Desert are ruffians and greedy treasure hunters. It's probably not part of your royal duties to help them. Notice, like, the dynamic there that Gert is kind of suggesting. Again, it is part of your royal duties to help people, to go around and, like, make sure that your citizens are okay. And that includes, sort of, the ruffians and bandits who are running around the desert. Like, you can help them if you want. They might warrant it, but, you know, it's not like they're operating within the parameters of the law, so it is very much optional at the end of the day. Notice how, like, all the quests are framed in this way. You are helping your people out. Like, Katya's role as princess, as leader, is very rarely forgotten in this game. Which is interesting. Like, it, you know, makes the role-playing dimension of this game that much more salient, I think. That, you know, you aren't playing as, you know, you. You're not just like some faceless avatar. You are a faceless avatar with a role to play in this world. You have responsibilities. You can't just shirk them. Yes, you are saving the world. That doesn't give you a pass on just helping people with their problems. Because, you know, even more than you as, you know, the adventurer, the only one who can beat the plague rat who is hiding in the basement. Like in Morrowind, you know, you really do have an obligation. You are fighting for these people, for your homeland, for, you know, the status quo that has been destroyed by the Black Fog. And while, yes, your primary goal is to return to that status quo, get rid of the Black Fog, you gotta help as many people as you can along the way. I think that's cool. But anyway, let's call it for today. Thank you for bearing with me as I gushed endlessly about this game that I love and probably looks like it's just old and janky and weird. Again, you can find all of this stuff online, and I'm not sure I would really have any compunction about, you know, going and, like, pirating a 18-year-old game that is not making From Software any money these days, and that you can only get as, like, a Gamecube disc that, you know, you're going to pay, like, through the nose in order to get it. So again, I'm not, like, highly recommending you go pirate this game, but I think it's more justifiable than a lot of the, like, emulation that goes on. At any rate, I will have hopefully another video up next week, um, whenever this goes up, which who knows. In the meantime, I hope that you enjoyed Lost Kingdoms as much as I do, or to some degree anyway, and I'll see you soon.